So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. And in today's video, we have the Washington Wizards. If I were to describe the Washington Wizards franchise as a whole, using one word, I think dumpster fire would be a categorically correct term. This is a team and a franchise that won 15 games just a season ago, landed the number 2 overall pick, drafted Alex Sarr, who I do think could definitely be good in the league, and then went ahead and made a couple moves that I didn't really understand. So we'll talk about that, their offseason as a whole, and of course our plans once we get into this video. But Wizards fans, if you're out there, man, I feel pretty bad for you, I'm not gonna lie. And real quick, before we do get into this video, as always, let me know any other rebuild ideas down below in the comments section. You guys are seeing this video here on Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday, is going to be the last regular rebuild, if you will, of 2K25. It's going to be the Utah Jazz. Of course, when we started off the rebuilds in 2K25, my, I guess, lofty, if you want to call it, goal was to complete all 30 teams before the actual NBA season tips off. And of course, that being next Tuesday, that goal will be accomplished. So big thank you to all of you for all the support so far. We are slowly but surely kind of ramping things up here in 2K25. So I guess I would say I'm excited about this one today. I think I'm going to need a miracle to actually get this team a championship within 3 years, but I'm up for the challenge. Let's get into it. Once again, before we get into this rebuild and talk about this roster, I'd like to offer my condolences to all the fans of the Washington Wizards. I don't know how you sit through this year after year. It has to be excruciatingly painful, and I honestly feel really bad for you. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. They obviously made a few moves this offseason. Some I liked, some I did not like. And let's go ahead and talk about the roster position by position. Starting out with the first move, wasn't a huge fan of it. They obviously sent Danny Avdija to the Portland Trailblazers, got Malcolm Brogdon back in return. There was some draft capital in that deal as well, which of course did land them Bob Carrington, but this is kind of a weird fit. Malcolm Brogdon shouldn't really be on a rebuilding team. I understand with the money he's making, there's probably only so many options for him to go to some sort of contender, but at 31 years old and an expiring contract, if they don't deal him by the deadline, he's probably as good as gone. And then you lost a 23-year-old Danny Avdija for nothing. So yeah, I don't really know about that one, but we'll figure that out today, I guess. Jordan Poole. Oh my, Jordan Poole. Of course, a very, very impactful piece of that championship run with the Golden State Warriors back in 2022, and then seemingly got punched in the face and has just never been the same since. So he's only 25. By no means am I saying his career is over, but unfortunately at this point in time, he's more of a meme than anything else. So I'm not sure what we're going to do here with Jordan Poole. Obviously locked up on a long-term contract. I still think there's some potential inside of him, some great basketball to be played. Whether or not it's here with the Wizards is definitely to be determined. Kira Lewis Jr. is 23, 71 overall, probably not going to get a ton better in the overall department, but we will keep an eye on that as the years do go on. The shooting guard spot, I'm a Corey Kispert fan. I think he can actually be one of the better players on this team heading into this first season. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do with him long term. Maybe eventually comes off the bench, just as a 6th, 7th man role, something like that, but I like Corey Kispert quite a bit. Bilal Coulibaly might have been a hit. I will give them credit where credit is due, because there is not a lot of credit to give the Washington Wizards. They took him 7th overall last year, and he had a really, really nice rookie season. Of course, a very impactful defensive player, 6'8", great frame, and he is somebody that if that offensive game can continue to get, just progressively better, I think he could be a pretty good NBA player for a long time. So good job, Wizards. You did something right. Bob Carrington is here, obviously out of Pittsburgh. Took him 14th overall this season. Not exactly sure how much that overall will go up today. If he can get up to like the high 70s, of course, could be a relatively impactful player for us through 3 seasons. Oh, baby. Johnny Davis. Johnny Davis. I've said this in videos in the past. I don't do Wizards rebuilds very often because why would anybody ever want to do that? But Johnny Davis is here at 22 years old. He was taken 10th overall back in 2022. And I don't really know how to describe this because I've said this statement before. In today's day and age, it feels like whenever players get drafted, relatively high in the first round of the NBA draft, it feels like when we call them busts, they're not just straight up, old-fashioned busts to the point where they're just not really good at anything. It feels like there's always 1 or 2 admirable skills that could maybe be impactful and really needed on an NBA team. I have no idea what Johnny Davis is good at. I don't think he's really good at anything. Now, I don't think the Wizards are certainly the best place for drafting and developing talent, and maybe if he went to a better organization, it definitely could have helped, but my God, I'm not really sure what to do with Johnny Davis here today. I don't think he's going to be in the NBA for very much longer. Let's head to the small forward spot. They brought in Saddiq Bey on a 3-year deal this offseason. He's 25 years old. I actually don't hate that contract. I know he is coming off a torn ACL, but he is going to be what will likely be a nice role player for us here today. You got Keyshawn George here. I believe it's Keyshawn. I'm hoping I'm not pronouncing that wrong. I think it's Keyshawn. They took him 24th overall out of Miami. He is going to likely get some minutes at some point in time. I don't know if it'll be year 1, maybe year 2. We will keep an eye on it. We head to the power forward spot. Let's talk about Kyle Kuzma, who has had a historically bad preseason so far. I think I've seen clips of him airballing maybe 4 different shots, and he crossed Ben Simmons the other night and then completely just airballed a 3. So Kyle Kuzma, I think at this point, would probably do a little bit better on some sort of contending team. Of course, won a ring with the Lakers back in 2020, and I'm just not really sure what to think and kind of make of him on this team going forward. Alex Sarr was the 2nd overall pick. Many people thought he was going to be going number 1 overall to the Atlanta Hawks. Of course, that did not happen, and I would be absolutely idiotic if I did not get him minutes in this starting 5 for year 1. So whether that means Kuzma's dealt, Kuzma's moved to a different position, whether I'm playing Sarr at the 5, I have no idea, but Alex Sarr will be in my starting lineup, and hopefully we can get him to develop into a very good NBA player. Patrick Baldwin Jr., the former Golden State Warrior, he's 21. That's about all I got on Patrick Baldwin Jr. And then the center spot, Jonas Valanciunas going to the Wizards. It's just one of the most random signings I've maybe legitimately ever seen. This was one of those signings that is strictly to get draft capital back at this year's trade deadline, next year's trade deadline, next offseason, whatever it is going to be. Jonas Valanciunas, I can almost guarantee you, will not fulfill the 3-year contract here with the Wizards. You got Marvin Bagley, Rashawn Holmes, nice depth pieces, I guess. How many draft busts can be on one team? I mean, seriously, it legitimately amazes me. We are at this point with the Wizards. Something to note, our first round pick is technically owned by the New York Knicks right now. It is protected for selections 1 through 10 this year and 1 through 8 the year after that. So just got to keep that in mind. Of course, I'm not going to try to be good this first season because that would just be about the stupidest goddamn thing I can do. So I'm not sure how many trades we're going to make before we kick off year 1, but it is definitely going to be a decent amount. I'm not entirely sure why the Atlanta Hawks are willing to trade me Jalen Johnson for Malcolm Brogdon and Marvin Bagley, but I guess stupid is as stupid does. So Jalen Johnson, of course, 22 years old, was a most improved player candidate last year and is certainly somebody I'd rather have over geriatric Brogdon and draft bust Bagley. So thank you very much, Atlanta. Also getting Clint Capella in this deal, probably going to reroute him somewhere else, but that is one trade with probably many more to go. It almost feels like a cardinal sin to give up draft capital when you are as bad as the Washington Wizards are, but a 2029 first is certainly not going to be the end of the world when we're doing just a 3-year rebuild and we're getting 2 multi-year contracts. So this deal with the Miami Heat is going to land us Terry Rozier and Duncan Robinson. Now, only Terry is probably going to play year 1. Him and Jordan Poole are going to be my 2 point guard options. I know how exciting that sounds, but Capella and Holmes were not going to be in this rotation. Of course, with Capella expiring, it makes sense to get 2 guaranteed contracts, and honestly, some random first-round pick in 2029 is certainly an asset I'll be able to recuperate. So welcome to the team, the 2 of you. Not sure how all this is going to shake out, but I think we got 1 or 2 more trades. For whatever reason, the Celtics are willing to give me a 2028 first-round pick in Neemias Queta for Kira Lewis Jr. and a 2026 second. This is kind of a kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We send out a 1-year expiring deal for a guy who has multiple years guaranteed, and we are reacquiring a draft asset that we just gave up in the deal with the Miami Heat. So thank you very much, Celtics. I don't really know if we have any more trades to go. The name of the game this season is development. There is absolutely nothing I am looking forward to in terms of the stats, the standings with this team, besides being at the end of year 1. Because, of course, this is going to be dreadful. There is no way around it. This is not going to be a good team, and I am fine with that. As long as things can come together come off-season time. I think we have set ourselves up for some future success. I am hoping and praying anyways. It is going to be Terry Rozier, Corey Kispert, Bilal Coulibaly. I moved him to the 3. I think it makes a little bit more sense from a size perspective, from a fit perspective. Having him at the 3 makes a little bit more sense in my opinion. Kyle Kuzma is going to be starting at the 4, and then I moved Alex Sarr to the 5. Again, I don't know if that's the best position for him, but it is the one that is going to allow him to get the most minutes. And for a number 2 overall pick for the arguably worst team in the NBA, it's the way we're going to go about it. Now, the bench unit's actually pretty decent. I want to give some credit to this bench. Of course, acquiring Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks, Jonas Valanciunas will stay on this team probably for 1 season, really just because he's on a multi-year deal. Jordan Poole going to be my backup point guard spot. You got Bob Carrington here, the backup shooting guard, and then Sadiq Bey rounding out this 10-man rotation. So again, like Duncan Robinson, Patrick Baldwin, Champagnie, Neemias Queta, these guys just aren't going to get any minutes here in year 1, but it's certainly something we can look at come off-season time. So Mr. Brian Keefe, if you can do anything with this team, you are a miracle worker, my friend, but I highly doubt it. I'll see you guys at the end of the first season here in DC. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up because we sucked. There's no doubt about that. We go 28-54. That being said, that feels like a pretty successful season. This was a team that won 15 games in real life just a year ago, so 28 wins, I mean, damn near doubled, so I'll take it. Luka Doncic, your MVP. Alex Sarr does win Rookie of the Year. Okay, it's almost always Ricochet, so nice to see 2K switching it up a little bit. 7.5 points, about 7 boards. Those shooting splits make me want to throw up, but it is what it is, and he takes home Rookie of the Year. Amen Thompson, your 6th man. Wemby wins DPOY. Thompson also wins Most Improved. SGA, Clutch Player of the Year, and 69-13 there in Dallas for Jason Kidd and the rest of the team. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the standings. We are not going to be in the playoffs, even if we were maybe a little bit better than what I thought. I mean, we were the 2nd worst team here in the Eastern Conference, and we were, about 4th worst team? All of basketball. Okay, let's talk about the numbers a little bit. Points per game, led by Kyle Kuzma. Maybe this could be a good thing for us. Maybe his trade value goes up. Maybe we end up hanging on to him. I have no idea what we're going to do. Terry Rozier was our 2nd leading scorer. Corey Kispert, Jordan Poole, Valanciunas, Johnson, Coulibaly, Sarr, Bay, and then Carrington. Rebounds per game, we were led by Sarr at only about 7. That's kind of crazy. And then assists was Terry Rozier. So we can sim through the playoffs with confidence that we, of course, are not going to be participating in this. It is looking like it is going to be Luka and the Mavs against Brunson in the New York Knicks. Here in the finals in Dallas, I don't want to say gets their revenge, but they avenge their finals loss from a year ago and get it done this time. Okay, this is going to be the biggest moment of the video for us so far. Not this retirements, this offseason I'm talking about as a whole. We'll take a look at the retirements. I don't think there could be anybody on our team that potentially called it a career. So, draft lottery. I guess this is the biggest moment of the video for us so far. It actually says the Rockets have our pick. I'm pretty well, according to Fanspo, it's the New York Knicks. I'm not actually sure if that's accurate, but it's 1 through 10 protected. That I know for a fact. So we end up with the 3rd overall selection, which is cool with me. We are going to be able to get somebody with a little bit of talent. Now we take a look at Brian Keefe, who actually has pretty decent ratings. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and pretend I know a lot about Brian Keefe and if he is and is going to be a good head coach moving forward, but I'm also not going to fire him because he doesn't really have a lot to work with right now, and the ratings are actually decent enough. So I'll hang on to him for now. Maybe we'll make that decision next offseason. We head up to the 2025 NBA draft with the 3rd overall selection. I'm not going to get Cooper Flagg because I've drafted him quite a bit. I am also probably not going to get Ace Bailey because I've drafted him quite a bit. So I think Dylan Harper or VJ Edgecombe probably makes the most sense for us. Corey Kispert's currently our starting shooting guard. He's entering free agency, and I'm not saying I won't re-sign him, but it is definitely a position of need. So I'm hoping Dylan Harper doesn't go in the top 2. I'm hoping it's Flagg and Bailey. I guess I'll risk it and then try to find a way to trade for him. If not, because I think that does make the most sense. Let's see. Ace Bailey goes number 1 overall. Please don't screw this up, Portland. They take Cooper Flagg, which means we are now on the clock and we can take Dylan Harper with the 3rd overall selection. I think we have a 2nd round pick as well, which I'm not going to use. So thank you very much, Philly. All right. That concludes the 2025 draft for us. It ended up being a pretty good one. Harper's going to come in at a 79 overall. Team player options. I will bring back everybody here again, just because it's an unrealistic rebuild. Vukcevic, probably not getting qualified. Jalen Johnson and Corey Kispert certainly both will be. And as we approach free agency, it is not exactly my favorite class in the world. We have 2 guys that I am going to pay. Just curious, we have about $14 million in cap space at this time. So there's no doubt about it. I'm paying Corey Kispert. I'm paying Jalen Johnson, who does have 5 offers. None of them really appear to be real. He wants about $18.5 million annually. Decent chunk of change, but it is worth it. He is a very good player in my opinion. Probably going to get more in real life, honestly. Kispert and Johnson, welcome back. It is time for some major moves. Okay, big blockbuster deal has been pulled off with the Philadelphia 76ers, and that is a shocking one. Now, it was a very big trade. It was Jordan Poole, Jonas Valanciunas, Bob Carrington, our 1st-round pick in 2027, a 1st-round pick swap with the Spurs in 2028, and, it's just a double swap with the Celtics. Okay, nonetheless, landing Tyrese Maxey is, of course, a huge upgrade at a very, very important position, right? We need a point guard. Respectfully to Jordan Poole, not going to cut it. Terry Rozier was really good for us this past season, but also wasn't going to cut it as a starter for the remainder of this video. So I'm sure the one thing that some people may be upset about is moving Bub Carrington. And although I do think he could have been a nice player for us throughout the course of this video, our shooting guard spot is basically all set with the 2 options of Dylan Harper and Corey Kispert. So he was kind of out of the rotation at this point, if you will, and I think it is going to be a beneficial move for us. Okay, another big trade has been pulled off, this time with the Orlando Magic. And we land another star player here in a deal with Franz Wagner. Now, it was also a lot to pay. It was a lot to give up, and you were going to understand why it's, even more to sacrifice in just a second. But the players and the picks in this deal, you can see on screen right now, of course, moving on from a lot of our depth that we had, and that's fine because you got to give up something to get something in return. But I think the biggest thing, and the thing I'm certainly going to have to consider moving forward, is that we now no longer have any tradable first-round picks, at least for this offseason. We have a whole lot of second-round picks, but no more first-round picks, which is fine by me because I'm trying to improve this team, and in a 3-year rebuild, you got to move quickly. This trade with the Houston Rockets is not only going to land us a first-round pick in 2026, it is also going to land us a new backup center in Jock Landale. Now, Saddiq Bey was a nice rotation piece on this team. Unfortunately for him last year, he was basically the final guy in our 10-man rotation, and now after all the moves we've made, he's kind of out of that rotation completely. So moving him for a position of need along with Patrick Baldwin Jr. for an unprotected first-round pick in 2026, and Mr. Jock Landale is good with me. So we now have our two centers with Landale and Sarr. Neemias Queta maybe can stay on this team. If anybody wants to give me a first, I'll take it. But, oh, wow, actually, thank you very much, Atlanta Hawks. Okay, now let's look at this over one more time. We do need to find a backup point guard, but we're good at shooting guard, good at small forward, good at power forward, and good at center. So let's look at our point guard options here. A couple different enticing names. I see Trey Jones. I see Tyus Jones. Bruce Brown, no. Beverly, Fultz. Let's go ahead and throw a little bit of money here at Trey Jones. He's young enough where maybe that overall can continue to develop, and I think he's a really solid backup point guard option. So 3 years, roughly $40 million. Welcome to the team. I will see you guys at the start of year 2. Things obviously escalated very quickly this past offseason. We very fast went from one of the worst teams in the league to maybe a contender here in a not-so-great Eastern Conference. So I'm excited. I'm optimistic. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but am I crazy for thinking this is a playoff team? Now, something else to note, our first-round pick is protected 1 through 8 this year. It doesn't actually say that, of course, here in 2K, but it is. I checked Fanspo, and yeah, possibility if we end up sucking somehow. I don't think we will, though. Probably won't have to worry about it. Here's how it's going to look. It is Tyrese Maxey, Dylan Harper, Franz Wagner, Kyle Kuzma, and Alex Sarr as your 1 through 5. Probably not a lot of surprises there. Bench unit remains strong with Jalen Johnson coming off the bench, Bilal Coulibaly. Got Corey Kispert here. We signed Trey Jones and then traded for Jock Landale. So this is a team that is good enough, in my opinion, to be a top 5 or 6 seed here in the East. I am hoping all of that can kind of come true and happen and really help make this video a much more enjoyable experience. So I'll see you guys at the end of year number 2. Victor Wembanyama taking home the MVP here at the end of the second regular season. We go 48-34. I 1000% can live with that. This was a team that really didn't have much hope, heading into this video, and by year 2, already winning damn near 50 games. Not quite, but we're close. More importantly, we get a second straight Rookie of the Year. This time it is Dylan Harper, 14 points, 6.5 boards, 6 assists, 1.5 steals, about half a block. I'll take it, young man. Men Thompson, once again, your 6th man of the year. Wemby, once again, your depoy. Dyson Daniels, most improved. De'Aaron Fox, your clutch player of the year. And Jason Kidd, still winning coach of the years. Okay, let's dive into it a little bit. We end up as the 4 seed here. It's us and the Celtics in round 1. Certainly not my favorite matchup, but I will 1000% again take it and probably run with it. Okay, let's go over some numbers real quick. Tyrese Maxey was incredible for us. Kyle Kuzma, again, doing strong things. Not quite the 22 points a game he had just a season ago, but of course we did add some more talent to this group. Franz Wagner, Dylan Harper, Jalen Johnson, Kispert, Sarr, Coulibaly, Jones, and then Landale. Rebounds per game led by Alex Sarr, and assist was Dylan Harper. So we are taking on the Celtics in round 1. Not really sure why this right here is a 5 seed, but oh my God, they brought Grant Williams back. That is hilarious. That is so funny. Okay, here goes nothing in round 1. There's no doubt they're a better team. I mean, I don't know how else you describe that. We're 2-2 with them right now. We go up 3-2, go to game 7, and we lose in game 7. Okay, that applies a little bit more pressure. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win the whole thing if we got by the Celtics, and in a Celtics versus Warriors rematch. Oh, God, as a Celtics fan, I'm getting Vietnam flashbacks. Celtics, I believe the Warriors just blew a 3-1 lead, I think. Jaylen Brown, second career finals MVP. Okay. I don't care about that. It is time for this offseason, and we have some pretty big decisions to make. Hall of Fame, Steph, wow, going out. Him and James Harden. Okay, let's take a look at the lottery. I don't think we're going to have any lottery picks this. Oh, that Brooklyn pick we traded for. I lied to you. We are, and it's going to be the 2nd overall selection. Wow. Okay, what do I do with Brian Keefe? What do I do with Brian Keefe? Who are my options here? This feels like a video where I have to land one of Stauffer, Missoula, or Kidd. I'm not saying what's going to happen. We have about $9.75 million to play with, and they all have offers, so this is certainly a risk, but we haven't been out of the first round, and I have to win a championship next year. So, Brian Keefe, you probably don't deserve to be fired, but you're going to get fired. And then let's throw offers at basically all of the top coaching candidates that are here, and I guess coaching free agency, if you will. Missoula's the only one that's going to accept. I know I sign him from time to time, but Missoula ball, it's very, very fun to watch. So welcome to the team, Joe. Definitely an upgrade over Brian Keefe. We have the second overall pick, and I have to figure out what I want to do with it. I'm almost positive the Miami Heat are going to accept this, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. Part of me is saying you should just take it and run with it because you're probably going to get Bam Adebayo, and the other part of it says you're giving up a lot of depth and the number 2 overall pick, along with Kyle Kuzma, who's been pretty good this video, just to land Bam Adebayo. And I'm going to put it through, and I'm hoping Miami is going to accept it, but I fully understand it comes with a very, very big risk. So I don't know how much I love it. It's going to move Alex Sarr back to the 4 where he originally started, and no matter which way you want to spin it, Bam Adebayo is a significant upgrade over Kyle Kuzma. So I don't love giving up Trey Jones and Jock Landale as well. Unfortunately, they have to be in here to make the money work. It was either Jones or Jalen Johnson, and I'm picking Jalen Johnson over Trey Jones. So I know I don't love it, but we are going to do it because, again, it is going to land us probably a top 3 or 4 center in all of basketball. So I know it's just, I hate feeling like I got ripped off, even though I don't really know how much I got ripped off, but you know what? I'm fine with it. All right, so we're not going to be drafting anybody in this year's draft. It's fine. It is what it is. We're not going to use this pick, so thank you very much, Philly. And as we approach team player options, I'm not really sure how many other major moves there's going to be. Of course, we're not really loaded with draft picks or any future assets or anything like that, but we definitely need to figure out some new backups. So basically, point guard and center are now pretty much big positions of need for me. My center options aren't great, but with Deuce McBride sitting here, who appears to have been released, but that's fine by me if you want to sign with us. Welcome to the team. And then let's just look at my center options here. Who are they? They're probably not great. Oh my God. All right, I'm going world-class scumbag. I haven't done this in a minute, but it is basically required if I want to land anybody with any sort of remote level of talent. So, yep, I know. I hate it. You probably hate it, but I haven't done it in a minute, and it is going to land me, hopefully, some sort of center that is, again, decent enough. So, Luke Kennard. Oh, we actually have first-round draft picks. Okay, I will trade both of these if I can land myself a center who is probably not making a whole lot of money. It's probably a rookie contract, but it's fine. It is what it is. There are no centers here. We're going to have to do this at the start of year 3. So Rocky Zakarski is somebody I have drafted before, and he is ultimately one of the better options available that I could maybe, I don't want to say realistically trade for, but realistically in this game trade for. God, 2K has got to do something about those eyes that Luke Kennard has going. It scares the shit out of me every single time I see it. We have 3 first-round picks we can now include in the deal. I obviously cannot take them with me till the next rebuild, so we'll give up 2 of them and land ourselves a new backup center. Year 3 is here. We have yet to be out of the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, and we have championship or bust hopes here heading into year 3. So this offseason obviously made another big drastic move and probably an overpay by some account of it. But landing ourselves Bam Adebayo, I think, is going to be a very, very important move and a very big difference maker with this group. Here's how it's going to look. It's Tyrese Maxey, Dylan Harper, Franz Wagner, Alex Sarr now playing the 4, Bam Adebayo, my starting 5. Bench unit is actually pretty good. It's going to be Jalen Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Corey Kispert, Rocky Zakarski, and Deuce McBride rounding out the 10-man rotation. Something else to note, we now have Joe Mazzulla kind of leading the charge with this team, so hopefully he is able to do what Brian Keefe wasn't and get this team a championship. So I will see you guys at the end of the final regular season. I think it may be championship time here in DC. We go 64-18 to wrap up the final regular season, and at this point in time, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Now that can obviously change very quickly, but I am going to choose to be optimistic. Luka Doncic, your MVP. Cameron Boozer, member of the Miami Heat, your Rookie of the Year. Dyson Daniels, now with the Minnesota Timberwolves. 6th man, Wemby, another deep boy. VJ Edgecombe, most improved. Halliburton, clutch player of the year. And our guy, Mr. Joe Mazzulla, leading the charge and winning coach of the year. Okay, let's go over it. We are now the 1 seed for the first time in this video. We are 11 games up on the 2-seeded Charlotte. Oh my God, it's like a reverse of the actual Eastern Conference standings. That's hilarious. And then here's a look at the West. Let's go over the numbers for every single player. Tyrese Maxey, Franz Wagner, Dylan Harper, Bam Adebayo, Johnson, Alex Sarr, Kispert, Zakarski, Coulibaly, and then Deuce McBride. Rebounds led by Bam, and then assists is going to be Dylan Harper. So, first round of the playoffs. I cannot fucking avoid the Celtics. Why? Okay, you know what? They've lost Derek White and Drew Holiday, which helps. Of course, they have one of the better duos in the league still with Brown and Tatum. Still got Tingus Pingus. Somehow added Jalen Duren. Oh, wait, no. Drew Holiday is still there. He's just coming off the bench now because Scary Terry is now back in Boston for a second stint. Why is this a play-in team? Your guess is as good as mine, and I am going to be immensely disappointed if we lose. We are up 3-1, and thank God. We have finally won a playoff series. Alert the press. Now moving on to the Brooklyn Nets, who I'm significantly less scared of. What? Yeah, no. All right, us and the 6-seed Toronto Raptors now here in the NBA Finals. Of course, VJ Edgecombe now paired up with Emmanuel Quickly. Barrett Barnes, Camoche, Ulrich here. You got Grady Dick, Obi Toppin, Vince Williams Jr. coming off the bench. That is a pretty talented team they got going on there in Toronto. I do think we're better, though. We're up 3-1 right now, and we are in the NBA Finals. And we are going to fuck. I do not want to take on Victor Wembanyama. His surrounding core is pretty good, too. They have Nolan Traore, Stephon Castle, Keldon Johnson, Jabari Smith Jr. now here as well, and a really, really deep bench. Fuck. Okay. There's no way. Really? This is a sweep? Okay. Potentially? I don't know. I guess we'll find out together, but my God, really? All right. I'd rather win at home anyways. I think so, anyways. Oh, shit. Okay, that got a little too close for comfort. We had an insane fourth quarter, but as we head back to DC, I'd like to close this thing out on our home floor. Let's get it done. Do not, no. 2K, I'm not doing this bullshit with you today. Okay, well, we're going back to San Antonio for a Game 6. At one point, we led 3-0, and now it is 3-2. Okay, I'm starting to get a little nervous. I'm not going to lie to you all. Oh, my God. 2K. I cannot deal with this bullshit today. I have gotten this close with the fucking Wizards, and you are going to hoe me out and make me stress like this. Do not. 2K, do not. I swear to God. Please, just hold the lead. Hold the lead. It's all I'm asking. Okay, pretty comfortable right now. I'll see you in there. It looks like a historic collapse is not going to be happening as we are comfortably leading this Game 7 here on our home floor with just over 3.5 minutes to go. So I'm feeling good. Of course, I'm not 100% confident yet that this one, Dylan Harper feels really slow, that this one is completely over, but I am, I'd say, content. I think that's a good word to describe it. So I guess we can chat about the actual Washington Wizards in real life right now. Of course, I don't really think there's much hope for them heading into this season. I don't really think there's any doubt. What the fuck was that? I don't think there's really any doubt about it. They are probably going to be one of, if not the worst team in basketball this season. Like, on paper anyways, I think they're worse than the Pistons. I think they're worse than the Hornets. Any other shit show. I think they're worse than the Blazers. Like, any of these other teams, you are welcome to talk about, but I think the Wizards are worse than all of them. So that's just my take anyways. So I fully expect them to be big time, sellers at the deadline. Guys like Malcolm Brogdon, guys like Jonas Valanciunas, maybe even Sadiq Bey. Like, this is just, these aren't long-term moves that they made this offseason. And I hope they play a lot of their young guys. I hope they are able to properly develop a lot of their young guys, because if they're not able to do so, which again, it doesn't really feel like they've been very good at drafting and developing in the recent years, I think they're pretty much cooked. So I hope that Alex Sarr turns into a good player in this league. It felt like he was always going to be the number 1 overall pick, and then things changed quickly. Zachary Ricochet goes number 1 overall to Atlanta, and then Alex Sarr landed in their lap. So I'm not really sure what to think about him here in 2K. He didn't end up being anything super special. Ended up being a decent enough kind of, I guess, role player with this team that put up like 9 points and like 7 boards, but certainly not what you hope for in a number 2 overall pick. So hopefully he's better than what 2K thinks he's going to be. But we're going to be winning this championship here. Get right by Wembanyama. Easy layup. I'll see you guys at the Finals MVP. We end up not blowing the 3-0 lead. We overcame 2K's bullshit, and we win the series in 7 games, and Dylan Harper is your Finals MVP. It's fine. The shooting splits are disgusting, but other than that, those would have to be, I'm not even trying to be mean, probably the worst stats for a Finals MVP. Like, what did Iguodala put up in 2015, excuse me. What did Iguodala put up? Because it was probably something, I don't know if it's similar to that, but I'm going on for way too long at this point. This video is over. I do not ever want to do a Wizards rebuild again. And I hope you guys enjoyed. This one, it wasn't, I wouldn't say fun. I've had rebuilds that I'm like, oh, this is a really fun rebuild. This was not one of those, but this one went surprisingly better than I initially anticipated. So that's about the nicest thing I can say about the Wizards as a whole right now, because there's not a lot of other good things to say. So Wizards fans, once again, I am sorry. Maybe take a quick screenshot of this because it's about as close as you're going to get to a championship for likely the next decade or so. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, one rebuild left to go in the regular rebuilds. That will be tomorrow on Friday, capping it off before the regular season tips off next Tuesday, and it will be the Utah Jazz. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that one. I had a really, really fun time doing all these regular rebuilds, and definitely excited to see what you guys have for different series or challenges, historic rebuilds, whatever it may be. Let me know all that down below in the comment section. So that's it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys.